breaking news. Yep, new chassis. Well, old chassis. Right, it's 5 degrees. Let's have a look at the chassis, and that's the one, so this chassis, I can put my hand right inside there. Bits fall off every time I touch it, and then there with the same shot. This is a solid box section. It's got some bits that aren't as good as they could be, but I think in the right hands we can get this, bring this up to a decent standard. Certainly good enough for a forest runabout, and we'll get it as straight as we can before we put it into under the green Triumph. Right, so here we have our chassis. So we have our centre line marked there, and the other end of the centre line is on the tail section there. We need to get this level. We need spirit level on it. We then need to measure the distances from the pads to the centre line, both sides. Again there, we need to measure the top strut to the centre line, from there to there. We need to make sure that these are parallel with each other. Even that these are the right height, the front two mounts. Right, there are crosses and marks all over this. So there's a missing captive nut there. There. There's some welding mark. There's a crack down there. A cross on there. Why is there a cross there? I mean, this side's better. The other side is well, somewhat lacking in metal down there. Right. So, and they're just generally. Oh, down here. That's very poor standard welding there. Now, what else did we spot? There's a pinhole there, another cross there, another pinhole. And I guess that arrow says that welding needs to be improved. But all in all, there's a lot more metal on this chassis than the one that's under the green Triumph. So I'll mark out the centre line with a string from front to back. Then we'll level these two rails with spirit levels. Then we'll get some measurements, and I'll refer to the blue book, the workshop manual, check all the measurements and see where we stand. Right, I just referred to the blue book. I'm referring to the Triumph TR4 and 4A workshop manual, 2nd edition. Right. And this is, if you're going to do work like this, this is very serious. So it's got full dimensions for the TR4 and the TR4A chassis, and all these dimensions are listed down here in imperial and in centimetres, and for this sort of work I prefer to work in centimetres. So we need to define our centre line. We need to check all of our measurements, both horizontally and vertically. We need to make sure these top struts are the same as that. We need to make sure that there's no twisting in the chassis over its length. I'll work out how to do that, but we're looking for all of the defects and whether we need to do serious work, which I don't think this does. I mean, I think this is straight enough, but if you can probably correct all of any little errors with extra or less shims on these pads. So I think it's these four pads with their 16 bolts. These are the shock absorber mounts. So the answer is to check all of the measurements and make sure that while you got it out you can correct it. If, for instance, I mean, over the 50 years, if they've had a shunt, you know, the back end one corner might be up, you can put a cut in and get it welded, you know, straighten it and then weld it, or use some heat to bend it down in a power pack. But I'm pretty happy with this. For a forest runabout, this should be fine. But I'm going to check everything, make sure it's up to a standard. Of course, if you didn't know, standard Triumph means up to a standard. Nowadays standard is boring, you want the plus version, but these were made to a standard. So that's, you know, that's where the standard Triumph name comes from. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to finding all of the little defects, taking it up the road to somebody who can do some welding, and get them to put as much of the small defects right. Okay, let's get some string, spirit levels, and tape and steel rulers, and measure this within an inch of its life. Just to say that this blue book, the Triumph TR4 and 4A manual, is available on eBay, etc. Most copies are second hand, £15 to £30 UK. I mean, or, you know, similar prices in the US, but with horrendous postage to the UK. The price varies on how many thumbprints there are, but you can't do this sort of serious work with a Haynes magnet. You've got to get the book. All right. Yeah, just get your fingers typing on eBay or Amazon and get the right book with all the measurements. Okay. Right. So I've levelled the front end of the chassis, and we've got our dangly weight on. So the ruler is on the edge of that hole. It's at 37.371. Trying to get the wash of the day 375, and then we've got 77 meters to the edge of the hole, and that's about 373, 374. So these two top holes are within 1 millimeter of being equal distance from the centre line. So you just need to go through and check everything. So is that line parallel with that one? So that's my next, I'm going to say it doesn't look right, but okay. Next measurement. The front lower wishbone are 5 millimeters apart, and if we move the center of the thread, and can you see? Oh, I apologise. There we go. And that's narrower. Okay, it's only 540. So that's the whole centimetre out. Interesting. I'll have to check the measurements. I would say that this one comes out straight, and I would say that this one is bent. I think that this weld here needs to be broken, this needs to be pushed back and re-welded. So I've printed out the diagram with my measurements, and I've started a list. So I'm literally going to go through looking for defects of all the things I need to fix. So that needs to move that way about 1 centimetre. We need to weld that crack up there. We need to do a captive nut under there. We need, now this measurement is 1 centimetre less than all the rest. So this needs to come off and move out 1 centimetre, and it carries on. There will be more. Anyway, I'm no expert, so I'll find everything I can find wrong here, and I will then go and see what the welder can find wrong. What the, I mean, where we live, there we're right next to a refinery. There are loads of people with top welding skills. So, and if I'm being honest, defects like that are minor, where the defects with the front suspension, you've got to get that right. So my priority is getting the steering straight and having nuts to hold the body, the whatever that, I can't remember, oh that's the gearbox bolts into that possibly, I can't remember now. Anyway, the point is I'm going to prioritise the repairs, and also just see what the professionals think of some of these welds. So remember, I am not an expert, I'm just giving you some starting point. I'm giving you a starting point on how I'm dealing with this. It's your car, you do your restoration. Anyway, thanks for watching. One more point. When I looked at getting this chassis, I had no idea how much it weighed and how easy it'd be to handle. I can actually lift this one-handed, one end of it, and I can move it around on my own with a bit of care. Obviously I don't want to drop it on my toes, but yeah, you can move it around your garage on your own. Alright, so it's a question I had that I didn't know the answer to, but I do now know that I can move this on my own. And as my, hopefully the garage I'm going to use to do the welding is a bit of a classic specialist, I'm just going to put a pair of trolley wheels on the front of this and wheel it around there, because it's not very far. Anyway, hope that answers the question.